allowing the feeling to come in.
Look, if a drug addict is going to go off of drugs, they're going to go through withdrawal.
Okay, that's perfect.
Are they willing to? Is it worth it?
And then you start to shift. You don't always react in the same way you were saying earlier. So you can actually start, it's like spiritual muscle. You're building that capacity to react,
let go. Not building the capacity to control,
No.
building the capacity to relax in the face. I always teach this. First let go, then if it's still there, deal with it. You're going to find out that 95% of the time, once you relax and let go, there's nothing left to deal with. If somebody walks up, you say, hey, Sally, how are you doing? She doesn't turn around and say hello, and she's your friend. Okay? No, there's an experience. It's not comfortable. What's wrong? Why she didn't, blah, blah. Did she not hear me? All that stuff goes on, right? Relax through it. Relax through it. Okay, fine. That's what happened. Now, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. She's not there anymore. There's nothing to do, right? And you're crazy if the next time you see Sally, why didn't you say hello? It's great. You won't do that because you handled it. There's no reason to say anything. What a nice person you are. Maybe she didn't hear you. Maybe she's in a bad mood. Who cares? Right? So if you are willing to let go, you're going to find out the vast majority of the time there is nothing to do about it except let go. Now sometimes there is. Sometimes you let go. I dealt with this, but there's actually something going on out there I need to deal with. Okay? You will be so much better dealing with it because you're actually dealing with the situation instead of dealing with your disturbance about the situation. That's the most important thing in life. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Right? If you're disturbed by it, you're going to be trying to not be disturbed. Nobody says that what you're saying or doing in order to make yourself not feel disturbed is the right thing to do about the situation. You understand that? It's only it's only you hope the right thing to make you feel better. That doesn't say it's the right thing to do with that situation. You're a husband or a boyfriend on the way out the door in the morning says, I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't have time, but I've been having some trouble. When we come home tonight, I want to have a serious talk. Nice nice guy, bring that up in the morning. You could have waited till we come home, right? But the net result is, right, it's going to create some disturbance inside of you, right? What good does it do to be doing that all day?
Right.
The answer is nothing. Now watch this. Now it comes night. Because you did that all day, I'm going to tell you what that conversation is going to go like this. This poor guy's having some problem. He said he wanted to talk about it. That's nice. The relationship's close enough that he wants to bring it to you, right? You're going to sit down, and the minute he sits down, you're going to say, come on, I have been so giving to you in this relationship. I don't understand how you could have a problem, right? Didn't I do this when that happened? And wasn't I there for that? And don't we share the bank account? I work and do the stuff when you had a problem. So I don't understand. You're going to sit there and try to make yourself feel better about the fact that this guy wanted to talk to you.
So
how does that help him?
Right. And you're trying to change the reality.
That's exactly right, because you don't feel comfortable with it. The alternative is to say, oh, okay, this is not comfortable, of course, but good. At least we're going to have a talk if something's bothering somebody. I want to know about it. Thank you. I appreciate. I'm scared. Of course I am. I feel anxious about it, right? But I appreciate this opportunity. I am looking forward to hear what they have to say. And you sit down and you be quiet for a moment, and you're able to because you didn't disturb yourself about the whole stupid thing. So if you can handle what's going to happen, you will do better. And you know as a therapist, relationship-wise, you are better off listening to that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And you can ask what part of me is disturbed.
And you know what part it is, my self-concept.
Right.
I thought this relationship was stable, and I've done this. And you know what part it is? The I. Yeah. You'll hear it talking. Yeah. I did this. I don't deserve this. My past relationship was like that. I thought he'd be different. Me, I, me, and mine, the little ego.
Or he's not going to love me.
That's what I'm saying. It's still the I.
Right, yeah.
I have these needs.
I am threatened.
That's right. What if you were in ecstasy? That's where I want you. You're literally waves of joy and love and ecstasy. You sit in the toilet, you feel it. You wake up, you feel it. You're driving, you feel it. Just that's what's going on. And your special, significant person says to you, I'm having some trouble. I want to have a talk tonight. You say, oh boy, that'll be fun, right? Because it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them.
So let's go there. Let's talk about the transcendental love or ecstasy that we could dwell within.
It is
I'm finding that very appealing.
well, it is your natural state. It is your natural state. You're living in an unnatural state, just like Paul behind those Uzi holding muscle men, right? That's a very unnatural state, right? And you have to support that unnatural state. So you're living in an unnatural state, and you're saying the only way I can feel love is if everything, right now, the only way a human being feels love is when everything lines up that matches the junk they built inside. If you talk to me the way I want to be talked to, if the lighting is right, and if there's nothing on my mind from work, and if you're not wearing a bow tie, right? It's like everything has to be exactly matching what you have inside. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. And then you will open. You're willing to open because I feel safe, because it matches my stuff, all right?
So you have to create the right environment to feel.
Or by luck it happens, whatever it is, right? And
right.
all of a sudden I feel love. What you're feeling is your natural state that's being blocked because you're closed by this stuff, right? If you have blinds and they are closed, it is not true. You have to beg and pray to the blinds to please let some light in. They're the giver of light. No, they're the blocker of light. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. Your ego and your way of wanting things are blocking you from feeling love all the time. When the mind gets what it wants, it will open. Then you can feel the nature of your being. So when you feel love, that is who you are. You've heard that. You are love, right? You are light. You are love, right? But you won't do it because your mind won't let you, because you're busy protecting yourself. So you be willing to say, I am going to let down these shields. I'm going to take the blinds off the windows so I don't have to pay them to open. You understand that? Because the light is the natural state. It's not something you have to pay for or sell yourself out for or anything. So it's all a matter of letting go. Christ said you must die to be reborn. That is exactly what we're talking about. You let go of the personal self and you don't do anything else. Understand that? When something's exactly the way you like, and it's perfectly matching what you want. All right, now how can I feel joy? No, when it is, you feel joy. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, it's the same thing with this. When you let go of your personal self with all these likes and dislikes and wants and conditions, right, what is left is your spiritual being. All right, and that being is transcendental. That being is independent of this world. It is watching the world, but it is not of this world. It is the consciousness that is aware of what it's looking at. You come back to the source of your being. And that, we've talked about self-realization. That is one level of liberation or self-realization. You have freed yourself from the bondage of yourself. Do you understand that?
Yeah, right. The self we built to orient ourselves.
The lower self. That's called the lower self.
Lower self.
Right? The higher self has freed itself of the bondage of the lower self by doing what? By knowing it's not me and I don't have to spend my time servicing it. I can rest back into the nature of my being. That's the beginning of true self-realization and true liberation. Where the great ones have gone, the enlightened masters, right, is from that seat, I'm still separate. I'm still the consciousness that is looking at Mickey, that is looking at this mind, and so I can handle it. I'm not getting pulled into it, right? I'm free of that game, right? But I'm still a separate entity. Can you hear me? I'm a separate entity watching this, right? The less interested you get in yourself, the more you get involved in the flow of the ecstasy, you let go of even the separateness. There's no need to even be separate. And you find the source of consciousness is universal. The source of all consciousness is from the same place, the same ocean. All tributaries come from the same ocean. And you fall back into what Christ said, my Father and I are one, into Buddha called nirvana. Yogananda wrote a chapter in autobiography called My Experience in Cosmic Consciousness, right? When you merge, you know. I know you guys are close with IONS, the Institute of Noetic Sciences.
Yes.
So Edgar Mitchell, that astronaut, that happened to him when he was coming back from the moon. He was in a capsule. I talked to him once. He was in the back of a capsule by himself, looking out over the vast universe, right?
Yeah.
And he merged. He literally had no background in that. He just felt his body was the entire universe. And it moved him, so he's an engineer, MIT, right? He came back and devoted the rest of his life, he died recently, he devoted the rest of his life to seeing how did that happen? How could I, this conscious being, feel oneness with all the stars and all the galaxies? And he studied the Institute of Noetic Sciences, the study of consciousness. What is it?
Right. Exactly.
They were co-publishers of the book. I know you know that.
Exactly, yeah. I have great respect for what they do. And they've devoted their research to these ideas. So this is, I just want to say, this is possible for anyone who reads the book, for anyone who wants this.
Yes. I get letters all the time from people that not only talk about how it made their life easier immediately to start letting go of the stupid stuff, but they just have these experiences,
Right.
you know, deep spiritual experiences by letting go, you know, and the taste of that, and you'll never forget it. 1 second of experiencing who you are and realizing you're okay in there, you don't have to panic,
Right.
it's fine, right, will change your life.
I mean, what I remember when I first read the Infinite Energy chapter was knowing that ecstasy that you described. And it was exciting to read that, to have your words describe that feeling. And you talk about it's not dependent on food or time or energy or, you know, what happened or didn't happen. And it was the first time it struck me, you know, that, oh my gosh, it's true. You could have been awake all night and in the middle of painting, you know, something that's just bringing you joy.
That's right. You don't
and
get
that
tired.
energy is not coming from the sleep I had, it's coming from something else. And that just gripped me instantly. And so to know that you could feel that when a car's cutting you off,
Whatever.
when
That's right.
your husband breezes by you,
That's right.
is just incredible.
That's right.
It's such a gift.
When you were describing that, you know, I describe myself as a nice Jewish yogi, right? But the words that Christ taught, everybody, you know, so many people are attracted and whole. Like, there was a line in the Bible that says, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. You don't realize that you were describing that when you were talking about the fact that it's not the food, it's not this, the energy is self-sustaining and comes from inside. Man does not live by bread alone from things outside, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father, which is the source of your inner energy. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes. Yes. And so that's a state that we could experience
Absolutely.
if we choose.
It is your natural state. It is your destiny, your birthright.
There was something that you wrote in The Untethered Soul that I just wanted to ask, which is, can you literally, as a human, feel and experience the same love that God feels for creation? So I guess what I'm asking is, when we're in that transcendent state, or when we're feeling transcendental love, are we feeling what all of creation feels?
Your consciousness, your being, that ends up feeling everything you feel. There is only one consciousness. Consciousness is not something that evolved through evolution. Consciousness is what was in the beginning and will be in the end. It is the beginning and end of reality. It is literally a thing, right? Consciousness is an ocean. It is a thing, all right?
Right.
And when you come back to your seat of consciousness, instead of what you're looking at, right? So it's like I always say, if you're watching TV and you get enthralled in it, there's nothing else going on in your world. There's no other room, you're not on the couch, there's nothing, no one there, it's just the TV. That's what happens when we stare at ourselves. We stare at our minds, we stare at our hearts, we stare at our world. That limits us to that, all right? The more we let go of that by not being so interested in what's on the TV,
Right.
the more you realize, oh, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm in this room and I have a family and there's an outside, right? All of a sudden your whole thing expands into the reality that it is. So it's not that your consciousness expands, it's that it ceases to contract.
Oh, yeah.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
You're focusing your
Right.
consciousness. If I focus my consciousness on that book over there, that's all I see. All right?
Right.
If I cease to focus it, it
Yeah.
naturally expands. It naturally becomes wholer, right? So
Right.
as you let go of yourself, you start to experience, as I said, the nature of who you are. Well, the Bible says man was created in the image of God. That is a true statement, but that does not mean that God has 2 arms and 2 legs. That's God was created in the image of man. The part they're talking about is you, the consciousness. That is the image, all right? And as you fall back into that, you experience the nature of your divinity. You experience the nature of yourself. So the question you ask, can you actually feel the love and compassion and excitement and that the divine who created creation feels for creation, right? You know the answer is yes. You've looked at a sunset and lost yourself completely and said it was a spiritual experience. I felt like I was looking into the eyes of God. Mm-hmm. That's because you let go of yourself. When you say it blew my mind, you literally mean what you said. Mm-hmm. It took this whole model I built, and for a moment it was gone, right? And all that was left was, in the yoga we talk about the experiencer merging with the experience. Right. That's union, right? So the answer is yes. The further back you get, the more you experience the ecstasy, the joy, the passion, the creativity of the divine. There is no end. I don't like when people sit there and say, oh, I'm God realized or I'm enlightened, right? I always tell people, say, I had an enlightening experience. Let it be that, all right? Because there is no end to how expansive you are. No matter where you think you are, you're nowheres. It is, the divine, the universality of the omnipresent and omniscient and omniscient, right, is infinite. And so there's always this expansion. But yes, you start to feel what the divine feels. You feel that, and you should feel it all the time. You feel, that's what Christ was. Christ was the embodiment in a body of that state with nothing in between. That's what we mean by a perfect being, by a realized one. He was called the highest of the high, right? Fine, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, yes, we can accept that. That's wonderful, right? We don't have to do what everybody does with it, but right? It's amazing to think, what's it like if somebody who's living in that state that says, my Father and I are one, that has complete compassion and love for all beings, no matter what religion they are, no matter what they've done, that all you're looking at is, yes, God can be on earth and experience it without a human in between. That's an avatar. That's the real high states that we talk about with the Buddha and the Christ and Muhammad. You hear me, all right?
Yes.
Are you capable of that? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And anyone.
If you're conscious, you're capable of it. Because that's what consciousness is. Consciousness has no qualities. It's pure. It's infinite. It's like if a light shines on something, it illumines what it's shining on. Move it somewhere else, it shines on something else. The thing it's shining has nothing to do with the light itself. Consciousness is unsoiled, untouched, nothing by what it is looked at, except that it keeps staring at it. Otherwise, there's no impurity, there's nothing, it's absolutely divine. There.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for the gift of the untethered soul, for writing these words in a way that allow us to all realize we have this choice.
Thank you. Beautiful questions. You're a beautiful soul, and thank you for publishing the book. I feel such an affinity to New Harbinger because we got to do this together, and it's helped so many people.
So
thank
many
you.